8 seconds after one comment for a Duchess to go from composed guest to persona non grata, escorted off one of America's most beloved talk shows in a moment that left audiences absolutely speechless. Jimmy Kimmel's studio in Los Angeles was buzzing with the usual energy that comes with taping a live show. The audience was packed. The cameras were rolling, and sitting across from Jimmy in that famous guest chair was Meghan Markle, dressed impeccably and ready to promote her latest venture. What nobody expected, not the producers, not the audience, and certainly not Jimmy himself, was that this interview would become one of the most uncomfortable moments in late-night history. The interview started normally enough. Jimmy, ever the gracious host, welcomed Meghan with his trademark warmth and humor. "Welcome to the show," he said with that genuine smile that has made him a household name. "We're so excited to have you here tonight." Meghan smiled back, but there was something in her expression, a certain tightness around the edges that the cameras picked up immediately. "Thank you for having me, Jimmy," she responded, her voice smooth, but carrying an undertone that seasoned talk show watchers might have recognized as a warning sign. Jimmy dove into his first question, something light about her recent projects. "So, tell us what you've been working on lately. I know you've got your hands in a lot of different things." This is where things started to shift. Instead of giving a straightforward answer, Meghan leaned back in her chair and said, "Well, Jimmy, I think the real question is why American media is so obsessed with what I'm doing in the first place. Don't you have actual news to cover?" The audience went quiet. Jimmy, professional that he is, laughed it off. "Well, you're here promoting something, right? That's kind of how this works. You come on, we talk about your projects. Everybody has a good time." But Meghan wasn't laughing. "Is that what you think this is? A good time? Sitting here answering trivial questions while the world burns?" Jimmy's smile faltered just slightly, but he pressed on. "I mean, we do cover serious topics too, but you're here for a reason. You reached out to be on the show." "Actually," Meghan interrupted, her tone growing sharper, "my publicist reached out. There's a difference. I'm here doing my job, just like you're here doing yours. Though I have to say, your job seems to involve making jokes at other people's expense." The tension in the studio was becoming palpable. Audience members were exchanging glances, unsure if this was some kind of bit or if they were witnessing something genuinely uncomfortable. Jimmy, sought ever the professional, tried to steer things back on track. "Look, I think maybe we got off on the wrong foot here," he said calmly. "Let's start over. You've got a new podcast launching, right? Tell us about that." Meghan's expression didn't soften. "Do you actually care, Jimmy? Or is this just another celebrity you can parade in front of your audience for ratings?" Jimmy's patience was clearly being tested, but he maintained his composure. "As I say, I care about giving my guests a platform to share what they're passionate about. That's literally the entire point of having guests on the show." "A platform," Meghan repeated, her voice dripping with disdain. "How generous of you. Tell me, Jimmy, when was the last time you used your platform to actually make a difference, instead of just reading jokes off a teleprompter?" The audience audibly gasped. Jimmy sat back in his chair, and for the first time, his famous smile completely disappeared. "Okay, I'm not sure what's happening right now, but I think you might be confusing this show with something else. We do comedy here. We make people laugh. And yes, we also have serious conversations. But you seem to have come here with an agenda that has nothing to do with promoting your podcast." "An agenda?" Meghan's voice rose slightly. "My agenda is calling out the hypocrisy I see everywhere I look. You sit here every night pretending to be this nice guy, this everyman. But you're just another cog in the machine, keeping people distracted from what really matters." Jimmy leaned forward, his voice steady but firm. "With all due respect, you don't know me. You don't know what I do off camera or what I care about. You came on my show and I've been nothing but respectful to you. I can't say the same about how you're treating me right now." "Respectful?" Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about respect? Let's talk about how the media has treated me for years. Let's talk about the invasion of privacy, the lies, the constant scrutiny. And I'm sorry about that, Jimmy said genuinely. I really am. But I'm not the one who did those things to you. I'm just trying to do my job here. And part of that job is treating my guests well. But you've been hostile from the moment you sat down. Meghan's eyes narrowed. Hostile? You think I'm being hostile? This is me being honest, Jimmy. Maybe you're just not used to guests who don't fawn all over you and laugh at your mediocre jokes. The studio fell into a stunned silence. Jimmy's jaw tightened. You know what? I've been doing this for a long time, and I've had thousands of guests sit in that chair. Some I agree with, some I don't, but I treat everyone with respect. I've tried to do that with you tonight, but you seem determined to make this difficult. Difficult? Meghan shot back. I'm being real. Maybe that's difficult for you because you're so used to the fake Hollywood pleasantries. Jimmy stood up, something he almost never does in the middle of an interview. I think we need to take a break, he said, looking directly at the camera. But Meghan wasn't done. Oh, what's wrong, Jimmy? Can't handle someone who doesn't play by your rules? Is this going to be another segment where you edit me to look bad? Nobody needs to edit anything, Jimmy replied. His voice measured, but clearly strained. You're doing that all by yourself. I don't know what you hope to accomplish by coming here tonight, but attacking me, attacking my show, attacking what we do, that's not it. I'm attacking the system, Meghan said, standing up as well. You're just a part of it. Then maybe you shouldn't have agreed to be on the show, Jimmy countered. Nobody forced you to be here. You could have said no. Meghan picked up her microphone pack and started to remove it. You're right about that. This was clearly a mistake. Jimmy turned to his producers off camera. Can we get someone from her team? Then back to Meghan. Look, I don't want this to end badly. If you want to sit back down and have an actual conversation, I'm willing to do that. But if you're going to continue attacking me personally, then I think it's best if we end this now. Oh, I'm attacking you personally? Meghan's voice was incredulous. You have no idea what a personal attack looks like, Jimmy. You've lived your comfortable little life, making your comfortable little jokes, never having to deal with real adversity. The audience was completely silent now, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Jimmy's face had gone from patient to genuinely hurt. You don't know anything about my life or what I've been through. And frankly, your assumptions are way out of line. The truth hurts, doesn't it? Meghan said, now fully removing her microphone. Jimmy shook his head slowly. No, what hurts is trying to have a civil conversation with someone who came here in bad faith. I opened my show to you. I welcomed you. And you've spent the entire time insulting me and everything we do here. Because it deserves to be insulted, Meghan snapped. This whole charade, this whole industry, and it's all smoke and mirrors. Then go, Jimmy said quietly, but firmly. If you hate it so much, if you think I'm so terrible, then leave. Nobody's keeping you here. Meghan glared at him. Don't worry, I'm going. I wouldn't want to waste any more of your precious airtime. It's not about the airtime, Jimmy said, his voice growing firmer. It's about basic human decency. I don't care if you're a duchess or a waitress or the Queen of England herself. When you come on someone's show, you treat them with respect, and you haven't done that once tonight. Respect is earned, not given, Meghan retorted. And you've earned nothing but disappointment tonight, Jimmy replied. I had high hopes for this interview. I thought we could have a meaningful conversation, but instead, you've shown me and everyone watching exactly who you are. Meghan's face flushed red. How dare you? You have no right to judge me. I'm not judging you, Jimmy said calmly. I'm responding to your behavior. There's a difference. A producer appeared from the side of the stage, clearly uncomfortable. Meghan, maybe we should talk backstage, the producer suggested gently. But Meghan was on a roll. No, I think Jimmy and I are having a wonderful conversation. Aren't we, Jimmy? This is what you wanted, right? Drama for your show? What I wanted, Jimmy said slowly, was to have you on to talk about your work. What you wanted, apparently, was to come here and create a scene. And congratulations. You've succeeded. A scene? Meghan laughed harshly. You think this is a scene? This is me finally speaking my truth without someone trying to control the narrative? Your truth seems to involve belittling everyone around you, Jimmy observed. That's not brave. That's just mean. The words hung in the air. Meghan's expression shifted through several emotions: shock, anger, indignation. You're calling me mean? And after everything I've been through? What you've been through doesn't give you a license to treat other people poorly, Jimmy said. We all have our struggles. That doesn't mean we get to take it out on everyone else. You sanctimonious little man, Meghan hissed. You sit there on your high horse, pretending like you understand anything about real pressure, real judgment. Jimmy's voice remained steady. I'm not pretending anything. And I'm not on a high horse. I'm standing on my own stage, in my own studio, asking you to either have a respectful conversation or leave. Fine, Meghan spat. I'll leave. But not because you're asking me to. Because I choose to. I won't be disrespected like this. You're the only one being disrespectful here, Jimmy pointed out. Everyone else has been trying to make this work. Meghan turned to the audience. You all see this, right? You see how he's twisting everything. But the audience remained silent. No applause, no support, just uncomfortable quiet. Meghan's face fell slightly as she realized the room wasn't on her side. Jimmy addressed the audience directly. I'm sorry you all had to witness this. This isn't how we usually do things around here. Don't apologize for me, Meghan snapped, turning back to Jimmy. I'm not sorry for anything I've said. That much is clear, Jimmy replied. But maybe you should be. Not for my sake, but for yours. I don't need your advice, Meghan said coldly. Apparently you don't need anything except an audience for your grievances, Jimmy said. But this isn't the place for that. This is a talk show, not a therapy session. Meghan's eyes blazed. How dare you suggest I need therapy? I didn't say you need therapy, Jimmy clarified. I said this isn't the place to air personal grievances against the entire entertainment industry. If you have problems with how you've been treated, there are better venues for that discussion. Oh, so now you're telling me where I can and can't speak my mind? Meghan demanded. You can speak your mind anywhere you want, Jimmy said patiently. But when you're a guest on someone's show, there's an expectation of basic courtesy. You've violated that from the start. A security guard had appeared near the edge of the stage, clearly briefed by the producers on standby, in case the situation escalated further. Meghan noticed, and her expression turned even more defiant. What? You're going to have me thrown out now? She asked incredulously. I'm not having you thrown out, Jimmy said tiredly. But I am asking you to leave. There's a difference. You're welcome to walk out on your own, with dignity. Or we can make this even more uncomfortable than it already is. Your choice. This is unbelievable, Meghan said, but she was already moving toward the side of the stage. The one time I try to have an honest conversation, and this is what happens. An honest conversation requires two people willing to listen to each other, Jimmy called after her. You haven't listened to a single thing I've said. You came here with your mind already made up about who I am and what this show is, and nothing I could have said would have changed that. Meghan paused at the edge of the stage. You're right about one thing, Jimmy. I did have my mind made up. And you've done nothing to prove me wrong. The feeling is mutual, Jimmy said quietly. And with that, Meghan Markle walked off the Jimmy Kimmel live stage, her heels clicking sharply against the floor, leaving behind a stunned audience and a host who looked more exhausted than angry. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every moment of the unprecedented exit. Jimmy turned back to face the audience, running a hand through his hair. Well, he said with a weak attempt at humor, That didn't go as planned. A few nervous laughs rippled through the crowd. Jimmy sat back down at his desk, taking a moment to collect himself. You know, I've been doing this job for a long time. I've had awkward interviews before. I've had guests who were difficult. But I've never had someone come on the show seemingly just to attack me personally. He paused, looking directly into the camera. I want to be clear about something. I have nothing but respect for the challenges that Meghan Markle has faced in her life. The scrutiny she's been under, the way she's been treated by certain parts of the media, it's been terrible. I genuinely feel for her on that front. Another pause. But that doesn't excuse what just happened here. You can't use past hurt as a justification for hurting other people who've done nothing to you. And I think that's what she tried to do tonight. The audience was completely attentive now, are hanging on every word. Jimmy continued, I invited her here in good faith. I wanted to give her a platform to talk about her work, to share her perspective. Instead, she used that platform to attack me, attack the show, attack the very medium she agreed to participate in. And I don't understand it. He shook his head slowly. I tried to be patient. I tried to redirect the conversation. I tried to give her multiple opportunities to reset and start over. See, but she was determined to be combative. And at a certain point, you have to recognize when something isn't working and make the difficult decision to end it. Jimmy looked around the studio. I'm sorry to everyone here who came hoping to see a fun, interesting interview. I'm sorry to my staff who worked hard to make this happen. And honestly, I'm even sorry to Meghan, because I think she missed an opportunity tonight to have a real conversation and instead chose confrontation. The weight of the moment was evident on his face. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll move on to our next segment. But I wanted to address this directly, because I know everyone's wondering what just happened. What happened is, someone came on the show with anger and resentment and decided to direct it at the nearest target, which happened to be me. He managed a small smile. I'll be okay. I've got thick skin. But I hope she finds whatever peace she's looking for, because based on tonight, she clearly hasn't found it yet. The studio erupted in applause, not the raucous kind that usually follows a punchline, but the supportive, sympathetic kind that acknowledges someone handling a difficult situation with grace. Jimmy nodded in appreciation, visibly moved by the response. All right, he said, taking a deep breath. Let's take that break. I need a minute to reset, and I'm sure you all do too. As the cameras cut away and the commercial break began, Jimmy sat at his desk, his professional mask slipping for just a moment. The exhaustion was clear. The emotional toll of maintaining his composure while being verbally attacked was written all over his face. Backstage, the atmosphere was tense. Production assistants and staff members were huddled in small groups, whispering about what they'd just witnessed. Meghan had apparently left the building entirely, not even stopping to collect her belongings from the dressing room. Someone would have to courier them to her later. The producers were already in crisis mode, discussing how to handle the rest of the show, whether to address the incident further, how to manage the inevitable media fallout. Phone calls were being made. Statements were being prepared. And social media was already exploding with reactions from people who'd been in the studio audience, tweeting in real time about the shocking confrontation. Back on stage, as the commercial break wound down, Jimmy composed himself once more. The mask went back up, the professional entertainer ready to carry on with the show. But something had changed. The usual lightness in his eyes was tempered with a new wariness. A reminder that even the most seemingly straightforward interviews can go sideways in an instant. When the cameras came back on, Jimmy smiled at the audience. But it was a different smile than before. Sadder, wearier, but also genuine. Welcome back, he said, and welcome to anyone just tuning in who missed, well, quite a moment earlier. The audience laughed, grateful for the release of tension. Jimmy continued, I think we've all learned an important lesson tonight about the importance of treating people with kindness and respect, even when we're going through our own struggles. especially then, actually. He shuffled his note cards, a physical reset. Now, let's talk about something fun. We've got a great show still ahead. And just like that, the consummate professional moved forward, leaving the ugliness of the previous segment behind. But nobody in that studio would forget what had happened. The moment when entitlement met accountability, when aggression met patience, and when a talk show host had to make the unprecedented decision to essentially end an interview because the guest refused to engage in basic human decency. The rest of the show went smoothly, but there was an undercurrent of energy, a shared experience among everyone present that they'd witnessed something extraordinary. Not extraordinary in a good way, but in a shocking, uncomfortable, this will be talked about for years kind of way. As the show wrapped and the audience filed out, they were buzzing with conversation. Phones were already out. People were texting friends and family, posting on social media, calling their loved ones to tell them what they'd just seen in person. Jimmy Kimmel had handled an impossible situation with as much grace as anyone could have hoped for. He'd remained calm when provoked, patient when attacked, and firm when necessary. He'd given his guest every opportunity to course correct, and when she refused, he'd done